this at 7 o'clock. No, wait, it's 6 o'clock. Oh, whoopsies. Welcome, everyone, to episode 613 of Just Joshing. Or it might be 614, actually, because I got enough for a two-parter. I've done a lot of these. I know. I told you, I take myself very seriously. See, I can change that number. Right? Like, it's magical.
You have the power.
I have the power. I'm the boss. I know what I'm not doing.
Exactly.
Or doing. It's kind of scary when you're and I'm sure we've had this in like our real world, because Lord knows I have. When your boss doesn't know what they're doing and you see it, and it's very clear that you see it, it's a little terrifying, ain't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt.
Exactly.
Yes. I think we all have to go through it, and then we just realize. I said it last night with Richard Davis. I think we're all a little crazy. I think we screwed up. I think our generations have screwed up the whole concept of life. It should be really simple. Do what we want in terms of do what we love, find what we love, get paid fairly for it, and do it with people we love. And it seems like a really simple thing. Not a lot of people get to do that, though.
No.
What's your theory on that?
People are too afraid to sail the sea of consequences. They would much prefer the road more traveled because it's safer. That was always boring to me. I love, first of all, I love to travel. So like I have a part-time day job where I go drive around the region and pick up and deliver fleet cars for pharmaceutical companies. I do that a couple days a week. And when I'm not doing that, I'm doing comics. So I'm driving or I'm traveling to a convention, and you never know what's around the next bend, what's over the next hump in the highway, and I love that. It's just, the life of the unknown. It's going to be more adventurous than, sitting in a cubicle somewhere.
Well, you are going I'm in this weird spot. I've started freelancing. I have a better idea what I'm doing. The good news is I've made more money in this last few weeks than I ever done right away as a freelancer. But now you're into that grind of you got to find the next gig, and that always is a process. You don't know when or how, especially when you're starting, when the next gig will come. As you keep getting yourself more established, though, it gets easier, and those at least get a little nicer. But there's always that, especially when you're kind of going in the beginning, you have to deal with the fact that I may have to go back to a menial job from time to time.
Right.
I might have to do that next week, and that's fine if I have to do it but again, I already know this too. The way I'm wired now, I can't stay there. What'll happen is I'll get what I need, I'll do it for a little bit, and then I'll walk away again because it's just.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the gig, baby.
Yeah, it totally is, and that's where I'm at this point. It's like I'm going to walk away from stuff. I'm going to come back. I'm going to walk away from stuff. I'm going to come back because it's just right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Musicians do it too. You go from doing an album that sells 27 million copies to 15 years of obscurity. Those guys are working at Buddy Rogers Music selling guitars, or working at Subway making sandwiches, and eventually, another song hits somewhere and they're back touring the world again. But in between the highs, you got to make your bones. You got to, daddy's got to pay the bills.
That's right. No, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. No,
but networking is key, man.
Absolutely.
While you're in your areas of peak, you get to know everybody, so they can help you get out of your lulls.
Well, it's interesting. It's both. There's. I think everything has a shelf life, like everything.
Yeah.
Now, I've done 600 episodes of this podcast, which makes me go, that's alcohol inducing right there, because that's a lot of podcasts. But I've met some very incredible people, and I've made good impressions, and it's led to me getting jobs otherwise I wouldn't have gotten on my own.
Right.
That's the beautiful thing of that's where networking is. It's really powerful. It's not the most talented people that make it. It's the people that are willing to put themselves out there and let things happen, and they happen at their own time. They don't happen when you'd like them to. They do happen in your own time,
Right.
And so that's the journey. And then from there, you again, you go through the ups and downs. Like at this point, I don't want a regular day job. That means I'm going to have to go back, take a chance. Maybe if I'm lucky, find something part-time right now. So why can, because again, it's the money time war. You have to have money, you got to eat, but you don't want to suck so much of your time into like trying to eat that you can't do anything else. And that's such a really tricky balance. Like you got is perfect in one sense, because you do have a steady income, which is what you're, again, the moment you hit steady income as a freelancer, you're done, right? You might stick around because you enjoy the travel aspect, but again, you could find a way to do your gig and travel at the same time.
Well, the best part about that too is I basically work. I do that job whenever I want. So since I've been really busy at the studio and things have been picking up, I've only been driving 1 day a week. Yeah. And some of those weeks I don't drive at all.
So you're going right to it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're coming to the end of the line where it's like I'm not going back. Like this is going to become less and less and less my life, right? Yeah. Until it's no longer my life, and then you move on. It's a mindset. It really is a mindset, and it's a grind. And you got to be willing to go through the ups and the downs to go with it.
I agree. Absolutely.
So I promise we get silly. So I gotta keep my word here. But so anyone watching, listening to this right now, or going to listen to this later, the moral of the story is, I mean, really what it comes down to before we get to silly stuff, perseverance and discipline. Because you have to put yourself out there every single day, and you can't be afraid of the no's, because they're gonna come. But if you keep doing it every day, eventually you will get yeses.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that line that Rocky tells his son in Rocky, 5, life sucks and it's going to hit hard, but it's not, it's about being able to take the hit and keep getting up and keep moving forward. That is about an accurate depiction of how life really is. It's an endless succession of no's and not right now's. But those can either destroy you or they can toughen you up.
Well, it's the movie was Rocky Balboa. No one actually likes Rocky 5. Like no one actually.
It was a Rocky movie. That's all I remember.
It's some Rocky movie. Well, no, it's just like you look at that franchise. The first one's amazing. Second one's okay. Third one's very 80-ish, although they'll still have some of the heart from the first two. Rocky 4 is the quintessential 80s movie. That's what it totally is. There's no BS. It's the quintessential 80s movie. It's also the closest thing to a musical, as the montages were such a big part of that movie, that it was like they had a very, very tiny story and they had to extend it to a movie length, and that's why they did all these montages. Although it was at the very least, I will say this: the train montage in there was really cool. And for some reason, I pop when Apollo dies, and I'm not.
They should take Rocky 4 and Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin and play it at a skating rink on disco night.
That would be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You'd be in line to skate.
Yeah. No, it would be like 2 car crashes, except I think people genuinely liked Rocky 4. I'm not sure Batman and Robin has that same love. It's just one of those.
Well, you save that for the second. You run that movie second, so everybody's had a whole movie's worth of beer in them.
Yeah, because Drunken might be an amazing movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be amazing drunk. I don't know.
Beer goggles, Batman and Robin.
Beer goggles, Batman and Robin. And George Clooney, he looks like Adam West. Can we this is because that's the thing about Batman and Robin, right? It tried to homage the 60s a little bit. It was just so over the top. It hurt.
Too much.
Yeah, it hurt. I have a couple guilty pleasure movies. One of them is Batman Forever. I know it's not a great movie. Again, it's one of those things. Deep down, it doesn't pass scrutiny. It just doesn't.
There could be worse favorite guilty pleasures. I was surprised.
Absolutely. But I just enjoy it for some very strange reason. I really enjoyed Jim Carrey's Riddler. I enjoyed that concept. It wasn't perfect. I mean, there's definitely some weird fetish stuff in that movie that makes me kind of go, but again, I know it's not good. It's one of those like junk food things, and they just took that and went to 11 with that, and I was like, you guys are all incredibly talented actors and actresses, and I am so sorry you were put in this. I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, they're not sorry. They took that $20 million paycheck and said, okay, whatever you say, I'll do it.
That's right. That's right. I'm not sorry.
I'd be stupid on film too for $20 million. Come on now.
Oh no! Listen, I know what kind of we all are freelancers. We are working. There are some things we know when we work on them. They're like, this is garbage. And we just it's not like, and we don't, and we're not being snobbish about it. It's again, going back to something I said earlier about the boss that doesn't know what it's doing. You can look at the cracks of something, and you can kind of just look at it and go, this isn't good. This just isn't good. And I'm here. So what do? Well, can I change it? Nope. So just take the money and run.
You gotta make the best of it. Then know that your next movie is going to be an art house film, and everything will be okay.
Yeah. Think about what it gets you. That not why you're in this. Why you're in this? It's like I'm going to be able to do silly things. But yeah.
Well, Clooney said as much. He said, you got to make those deals with the movie studios to get to be able to make the movies that you want to make, and then you have to sign on for Batman Forever, or give them one, and you get one. It's trade.
It's it's a trade. We want you to do this, and they're like, okay, sure, I'll do it. But I get this. Yes, you do ours first.
Right.
It's like, okay, but you better get me mine, because this is gonna hurt a lot. Because you just know, right? I can go I can usually go into a situation, I can figure it out. It's like, is this a good place or not?
Right.
And when you just like, oh no, or oh yes, and that's it. There's no other way of looking at it, right? So we're not going to dwell on that too much, though, because that's I know both of us have stories. I would tend to think though, because again, you're doing some really cool independent comic stuff, and I would imagine it's strange in this really weird, bizarre, crazy time where nobody seems to know up from down right now. Comics are doing quite well, and just not in the way that I think it's ever been done before.
Well, independent comics are pretty hot right now, but that's not new. That's it's cyclical. They kind of got their start in the '80s, early to mid '80s, and had a heyday there, and then kind of went away and came back in the mid '90s. And I think now, with the advent of the internet and the on-demand printing, and all the kids this generation of kids growing up, never not having computers and Photoshop and Procreate, the ability to do a comic book in your bedroom is just, everybody can do it, and it's created just an amazing renaissance of indie comics. And we've done 3 shows now, post Pandy, and at all 3 shows, the thirst for independent comics has been overwhelming.
Well,
which is great for us.
Well, it's again something you just mentioned. Printing costs have dropped dramatically.
Yeah.
Which means that if you look at, and it's weird too, because what's happening in comics is kind of what's happened in the traditional book publishing space as well, in the sense that just don't get me wrong, there's money in DC and Marvel and Boom and some of these companies, and absolutely, right, that there's money there.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, it's almost like DC and Marvel are niches.
Are what?
Niches. They're not the whole market anymore. They're not even maybe a chunk of the market anymore. Mainstream comics will always have a place somewhere, somehow, some way, right? It's the nature of the business. And there will be a point where they'll be probably more to the forefront again. But I know this too. Like, I just got Naira X for my Kickstarter finally. Just giving a shout out to those guys too. And I got Wolfpack from Robert Multeri coming. It's like, I can get great comics from Kickstarter. I have a problem. I have to be very careful how much Kickstarter privileges I have. There's too many good books going on right now, and I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I have to think about banks to rob, and I'm not quite sure. Yeah, again, I'm not sure that's what they want to go for, right? That's what they want to go for. They want to go for, like, they want me to be able to afford my comics legal, like. So I gotta be like, I'm not always mature enough for Kickstarter. And since I'm trying to get some of my own stuff going right now, I've kind of said I've taken a step back from Kickstarter. But guess what I'm going to do in the fall? I'm going to look at Kickstarter and go, hey, what cool books are out there right now?
We'll be out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We'll be running in the fall. We'll be running a Kickstarter for Roadkill Rampage issue 2.
So basically, are you suddenly hinting at your bringing back on the show?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Do it now.
It's a date.
I'm so forward. This is like I didn't expect that right away. Okay, we'll figure it out. But I bring all this, like, it's interesting because I now, like, more than ever, it's not like we talk about networking. A big, like, the Kickstarter model of business. I don't call it indie publishing. I call it crowdfunding because I feel it does have some indie publishing aspects to it, but I almost feel like crowdfunding is a different subsection of indie publishing, because it's really about finding your audience, and you can have a very small audience that is very supportive of you. Right. And obviously you want as big an audience as you can, and big audiences are definitely possible on Kickstarter or Indiegogo or wherever. Like that is a very real thing.
Oh yeah.
But for you, it's more than anything else. It's about relationships with your client, with your customers, like strictly on a business level. The people that support you are kind of like your family and your clients, and that's all about networking when you break it right down.
Yeah, I mean it's what a lot of creatives don't realize, comic people is, and I get in trouble for it all the time from my wife because I need to be doing it more consistently than I am. It is posting every day at specific times, responding in a timely fashion to emails, text messages, and stuff like that. But that's part of it. It is a very vital, necessary part of doing comics or doing writing. Is you got to put yourself out there. You have to expand. If your market is the 3 surrounding states that you live in, and you've got about 300 people, you need to mushroom that out to the 6 surrounding states and 900 people, and so on and so on and so on. And if you're not posting, and if you're not going on podcasts, and you're not doing all that kinds of stuff, you're existing in this little tiny bubble, and you can't do that. I mean, you can, which will give you minimal success, but you have to do it exponentially on a much larger scale. You got to put yourself out there, and you got to be you, and you got to figure out the best version. Like I'm a pro wrestling fan, and I say this. So my all-time favorite pro wrestler is Macho Man Randy Savage. The Macho Man. Ooh, I'll tell you what, brother. Yeah. Because the thing is, he's one of the best salesmen ever. Oh yeah. He knew who he was. He knew who he wasn't. He played to who he was perfectly well, right? He knew his audience, and he catered to them. Yep. The best he could, all the time. To this day, every time I walk into a gas station and I see a Slim Jim, I go, "Oh yeah!"
Right.
You know, he's.
I mean, and that definitely didn't hurt his appeal at all.
No.
But I mean, but that's just it. He was and is one of the best salesmen of our era, and all he did was be himself, or at least a part of himself that he was willing to share. And I think that's the thing. Like, I think the day of the introverted creative is dying. Doesn't exist. Right? You have to. You can be talented, and I think there is definitely a possibility of. There's definitely a possibility of getting your work noticed on talent alone, but to stay where people can pay attention to you, you gotta have a bit of a big mouth. You gotta engage with people. You can't. We don't live in an era anymore where I have people for that. You have to be willing to. You can have PR, and I'm saying PR doesn't have a place, but it can't just be PR anymore. You have to be. You have to be a bit of a hustler, just the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. Let me shut that down so it stops dinging. There we go.
Are there things dinging? Is that?
Yeah, I had another tab opened up with Facebook on it, so my messenger was dinging.
Yeah, you gotta give Facebook this. They know how to annoy you. They are incredibly skilled at it. That's why the messenger thing always works. You hear that ding, it's like, motherfucker. Every freaking time. It's like, now what? What do you want? And if you ignore it, you hear another ding. It's like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yep.
See, that's the thing. Like, if you want people to pay attention to you, be annoying. You will get people's undivided attention for like 10 seconds, but you better be good because they're already pissed off at you. So you got to either make them laugh, or you either got to say, or you at the very least be very, very polite. I'm sorry for annoying you. I hate Facebook too. See, actually, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that. That's an experiment. Facebook message people at random. See, motherfucker. I'm sorry. I hate the Facebook thing too. I bet you people will pop. I think I've amused you so far.
You have fun with that.
I will. And then I'll see if I can sell something and say, I'm sorry for annoying you, but while I am here, would you like to hear my lane's pitch? Right? I'll send you only one more annoying ding. I promise. I think people will be like, that's a fair trade. I only get to hear it once. And then I never have to hear from him again. See, again, you got like, you know what? That's fair. I'll hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so thanks, man. Just talking to you, I figured out a marketing strategy that may or may not get me killed. If I get killed, don't.
It didn't work.
It did not work. But I have to like. That's why I feel like an alarm should be that Facebook thing. Everybody would wake up to that. It's like, oh, why? Why are you so annoying? Anyway, told you we get silly sometimes. I'm so. What was the comic for you? Like we all.
Was that you?
That was me. That was me. I'm shutting my phone down. Because nope, I'm not doing it. Okay, let's try this again. I should probably clip this. Facebook ads or the Facebook thing is annoying and make that a YouTube clip because I think it actually works. Well, that's neither here nor there. Here's my question though. We all have comics we love as a kid, right? That made us go, and you probably have it too. Like, what was that book that made you go, okay, I want to do this because this is freaking cool? Or was it an accumulation? Because it also can be an accumulation too.
I think for me, it was an accumulation. The one book that I always think back to that probably had visually the biggest impact on me was Avengers Annual 10, which was drawn by Michael Golden and written by Chris Claremont. It was the introduction of Rogue. As she steals Carol Danvers' psyche. And the X-Men actually appear in the pages of the Avengers, which was pretty sweet for me. And it was drawn by Michael Golden. If you're not familiar with Michael Golden, look him up. He's an amazing artist. and that was just such a pivotal story for me, because I'm an Avengers child. I grew up with the Avengers. They were my penultimate thing. And then I got into the X-Men. I was in the 8th grade before I even knew who the X-Men were. I had some kid in drafting class just waxing on about how awesome the X-Men were with another small group of kids on the other side of the room, and I was dipping into the conversation. They were the advanced kids, so I didn't go over there. But I went to the comic store that day after school, and I picked up some X-Men books, and I started reading them. I was like, oh, I like this too. So, yeah. So for me, it's Avengers Annual 10, and then the Avengers and the X-Men. Marv Wolfman and Perez's Teen Titans.
Good run. That's a great run.
Yeah. Simonson's Thor.
Underrated run. Very underrated.
I don't think it's underrated. It's pretty respected.
I think it is actually a little underrated, because I don't think people because it was just the era it was in. Like,
you're right. It's dismissed as being old, and that's wrong, because it's what really took Thor from just kind of a comical thing to threw him up, launched him into the stratosphere.
I still think Frog of Thunder is amazing. That story is awesome. But no, Simonson. No, I love, like, I've been picking up when it's come out, like his Ragnarok, his Thor story from IDW. That's still really, really good.
Yeah.
And also, Simonson and Perez get lifetime passes. I don't care when their books come out. Whenever they have a book, I will check it out. It's kind of like my little rule. It's like, you're old, I don't care about your schedule. Just if you bring out a book, I will look at it. I will wait. You've earned it. Yeah. But no, that's a good run. So for me, a run no one talks about that I really love, it's Barry Windsor Smith's Archer and Armstrong run.
See, I looked at that. I love the artwork, but I never read it.
It's amazing. His run of it is amazing. After he leaves the book, it's nowhere near as good.
Now, is he writing it too, or just was he
writing and drawing it?
Okay.
So the best story in that run is the Three Musketeers story he did with the Eternal Warrior. It's a crossover between both books, but it's a retelling of the Three Musketeers in the Valiant universe, with Archer. Like, Archer's one of Archer's ancestors. It looks like a dead ringer for Archer. D'Artagnan, and he have all three of the immortal brothers. It's the first time Ivar, the time traveler, shows up, and it's really fun. Also, I always love it when Armstrong actually kicks the Eternal Warrior's ass. That issue does end with the Eternal Warrior getting his ass handed to him, and but it was good. Like, it was a really, really, really good run of that book and that time and that place, and it's an incredible. And also, like, we're talking like writer artists all time that do these great books. Walt Simonson's amazing. George Perez, his Wonder Woman run, as good as his Teen Titans run is, you want to talk about what Perez can do on his own, that Wonder Woman run is still really good. Barry Windsor Smith's Archer and Armstrong run. I love Colleen Durand's Distant Soil is actually very, very good too. It's about, when like talking about indie pioneer books, that book's an indie pioneer, and Colleen kills it. Like, she's amazing in that run. So I grew up with kind of like late 80s. I missed the great late 80s like runs. From 1986 to 1990, I had gotten into comics around 89, 90 when I was like a little kid, and it was Green Lantern. And I'm a big Green Lantern guy even to this day. But even so, the run that but it was the 90s for me, like the early 90s, the Valiant stuff, the early Image stuff, the like, there's some great stuff in there that doesn't get talked about as much, because it came out of like a golden era. Like, I think like Simonson's Thor, Peter David's Hulk, the X-Men and Claremont Byrne runs are incredible. You said Teen Titans. I mean, you also have Watchmen, Dark Knight, American Flag. Like, that's why I say Simonson's so underrated, because you look at all these runs; these all came at like the same time. It's like,
it was also a very good. It might be. It's kind of obscure, but I absolutely love this book, was Alien Legion. It was a Marvel Epics book. Do you remember the Epic line?
Oh yeah.
It was created by Carl Potts and Frank Scirocco, and it's just basically a story about intergalactic Marines and just fighting wars and stuff, and just the relationships of those soldiers with one another. And it's kind of the artwork's kind of a graphic-y. Well, Larry Stroman picked up after Scirocco left, and Stroman was an apprentice of Howard Chaykin from American Flag. So it has a very, and I've actually got a couple of original pages from Larry in New York. But if you haven't picked it up, there were 2 volumes of it, so there's maybe a total of 35 or 40 issues total, and there's a graphic novel, A Good Day to Die, where Scirocco actually comes back and does that graphic novel. But highly recommended reading if you're a child of the late 80s, early 90s. That will be right in your wheelhouse.
Sounds like an old school war comic. Like that's what it sounds like. It's almost like
in space. Yeah, in space. Yeah.
I mean, I like what Garth Ennis is doing today. A lot of his really good stuff now are old school war comics kind of being retold in just different forms or fashions. And
I loved him on Preacher too.
Oh, I look at him like Preacher's great. I love The Boys. I really, really love The Boys, especially the early parts of it. I think were really good. It got really dark in the middle of the story, but the early parts, there's definitely a bit of a Matter and Ambassador's humor to it that was really, really fun. I also like that it's one of the few books he's done that actually has a happy ending, which I think is actually but it's his war comics. He is such a fan of those old style, like Sergeant Rock. You can just tell like that's what he does and that's what he loves to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's an amazing. I think that's what I love the stories he's telling now, and those are the stories he seems to excel at. Also, although I'm not sure he is an old school superhero fan. You can kind of see it when he does something like Hitman. It's like he likes old school superheroes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he likes new school ones, but he likes old school ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know. He's good. So that's what got you in. And you draw, which is awesome, which is cool. So do you want to tell stories, like writing, or just like pencil was just more your language of how?
Well, I do. I write too.
Yeah.
Actually, the books that we're producing now, I write them all, and I'm doing the artwork on Pitter Patter. I'm writing Roadkill Rampage. Have somebody else drawing that. So yeah, and that is so we can get more books out. Mm-hmm. Because I have more of I can do illustration work, but I don't know if I could do that sequentially. It would take forever. So my strength is the cartoony stuff sequentially. But my new thing now is to write, and find the right artist to draw it for us.
Yes.
Because I don't just want to do funny stuff. Roadkill Rampage and Pitter Patter couldn't be further apart on the spectrum. And it's actually funny because people make fun of the fact that, and we did an all ages book called Peanut Pudding and Jelly, and people would joke and say, "Wow, you went from 6 issues of that to Roadkill Rampage. We didn't know you could do that." And I said, "Yeah, that's why I wanted to do it, because everybody thinks I can only write all ages books." And I wrote superhero books too back in the 90s, and I want to do, I can do the horror stuff, and I wanted to show my versatility and be able to spread my wings.
Well, see, that's the other cool thing about being in this era, like what I call the Kickstarter era. Although from a marketing standpoint, sometimes for me finding audiences might be a little difficult, and I get that. But it's also the fact that you can go into different fields and try some things and go, you know what? I'm not that superhero guy. I'm Rodney Fyke. I can do whatever the heck I want, and I don't care. And you can do that, and you can carve yourself some great hits. And also, I mean, as a writer, as a creative, you want to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, I don't know why anyone would laugh at you being able to doing young adult and doing horror. I mean, young adult and horror are kind of like peanut butter and jelly. They actually go together quite well.
Yeah.
Most people forget the Grimm fairy tales. They're for kids. You read them, they're not. There's some very uncat-like stuff inside the Grimm fairy tales.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what Walt Disney took and turned into his movies for years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and some of that is dark stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
those origin stories don't match up with his animated films.
Hey, we're gonna take that part out and that part out because
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Snow White, it's really hard. If you read the Grimm fairy tale version, it's really hard to root for her. It really is. Because I almost see why the queen wants to kill her. And that might sound terrible, ladies and gentlemen. But Snow White's dumb in the story. She's dumb. You know? So it's just like there's a point where it's like, oh, you poor. Wait, why'd you fall for this again? And again. And again?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that I like that, but that's the thing. Like, I think the other thing too. I mean, not wanting to be one thing. I get that. You kind of wanted to find your own destiny in terms of your creative fortunes. It sounds like, and I imagine your wife too is a big part of that as well. And it's like, you guys, well, you work together. So I imagine, like, you guys, when you make a decision doing books, like, you like said, like, we're going to tell this story, then we're going to tell this story, then we're going to tell this story, or is it more like, I'm going to do my thing. Let's come up with some really cool story ideas, and which one's the most fun we'll do.
Well, it's so organic that it's because we have this running joke. I'm walking around constantly and I'm talking because the characters. I always tell people that the characters talk to me. I was a big and am a big fan of Conan the Barbarian, Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian, and if you read his biography, he talks about he wrote all of his stuff in a 4x4 foot room in his house, and he had a desk in there and a light, and this was back in the 30s, and he sat there and he wrote. He talks about how it was as if Conan was in the room with him and leaning over his shoulder and just dictating, and he would type it all out on the typewriter. And that's exactly what it is for me. The characters actually come to me and they sit with me and they have conversations, and I just dictate it all down on the paper. So I told you that I drive, and one time I was out driving, Roadkill Rampage came to me. So I came and I picked up my phone and I spoke some stuff into my phone. I went home and I jotted it down in the notebook. And 2 years later, I talked to a friend of mine about producing it, and that didn't go well because he had more of a cartoony style. It didn't call for a cartoony artist. So that kind of went back on the shelf again for about another year or so until we ran across the artist that actually drew issue 1 at a Cincinnati Comic Creators Club that we founded. And there was a guy that came, and we got to know him over the course of, 6 months or so. And I talked to Tino on the way home one night, and I said, what do you think about asking Amon if he wants to draw Roadkill Rampage? And he's like, okay, cool. So I gave him a phone call and was like, hey, dude, what do you think? And he's like, hell yeah. So it's pretty organic. But in saying that, Pitter Patter has kind of exploded into it initially started as just a complimentary book for peanut pudding and jelly.
Yeah.
But as I write it's gone from 2 cats in a house, and differing, from different sides of the track, so they approach every situation differently, to now there's this group of creatures and there's that group of creatures. There's inside stuff going on. There's outside stuff going on. There's stuff down the street going on. There's stuff overhead going on. And it's just expanded so insanely. And then we've just decided to go in a particular direction with it. And we're going to be implementing that with issue 3. And it's been a lot of fun. I just really enjoying it. I've got some friends jumping in and doing some backup stories for me, which will introduce some of these extra characters. So yeah, it's. I don't know. We seldom have a plan. It just happens organically, and then we go, "Oh shit! Okay, now how do we work this in and not screw it up like we did the last time?" So that's pretty much how we operate. I hate to say it and say it in public, but that's the truth.
Listen, I've done how many episodes of this podcast? You know what the whole of my secret is? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
Yeah, and that's what people don't realize is they want to know what the secret is. And the secret is that there's no secret. It's just you screw up and do it. And every once in a while you hit a home run.
So I'm going to really focus on that do it part. I've said this many, many times. It isn't about talent. You know what? I've been actually getting people to come on to my show to draw with them. I just learned how to draw in 8 months. And I just put my drawings up there just for... I'm not pretending I'm good. That's not what this is about. I'm just doing it. There are people way more talented than me. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm still trying to figure out anatomy. Breasts are super hard to draw. That's the one thing I've learned about this. Like anatomy still kicks my ass. It's just not my thing yet. That all said, saying all that, I'm putting myself out there. And even though it may not hit now, inevitably people, and again, just watching just what I've seen on my comments feed, all that stuff, people notice.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, it's like, and I've heard this from many people, you just put yourself out there. That's just what you do. It's like, well, yeah. You don't succeed. You don't need to be the most talented person. Heck, you can suck. In fact, that's the beautiful thing about life. You can suck. That doesn't matter. What matters is you're out there and you believe in you. And that you're and that what you got, like you have something worth saying, you have something worth writing, something worth speaking, and that's it. Like that. I mean, it sounds like a really dumb secret because there's a lot of luck from that kind of point on, but it's like anything else. You just put yourself out there. You kind of play by the rules of life, and so I have 8 rules of success. The 4th rule is the rest is rain. You can't control where the rain falls. The only thing you can really do is prepare for the rain to fall.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's nothing else magical about it. It's not. There's nothing.
No, the thing that a lot of the kids, they always ask the questions, how did you get so good? And this and that and the other. People don't realize that everybody sucks when they start. Whatever it is, whether you're playing baseball or picking up a guitar or picking up a pen to write or picking up a pencil to draw, everybody sucks at first. Mm-hmm. But it's the people who have the stick-to-itiveness. And the cool thing for me about the internet is I get to see all these kids from all over the world. The internet's been around now for 10 years or so. And I remember when some of these kids were 12, 13 years old that are now 22, 23 years old. And I've got to see the progress. And even some of my peers, I've seen their progress over the course of 4 or 5 years. And people improve, and you get to see that on a global scale. Whereas before it was just, your group of friends in your city that you hung out with. Oh, man, Johnny's getting pretty good. You see what he did last week? And I mean, even me. I've had people come up to me in the last couple of shows and tell me that my artwork's gotten better, which makes me feel good because it's a struggle sometimes, Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There is no secret. The only secret is just to keep doing it. The only way you can fail is if you stop.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, you can't control like right now. Like I said, I mentioned this. I'm doing the freelance process. First week, I got a bunch of gigs. I have the date. Second week, I got 1 gig. This week so far, I've gotten none. That's the progress. Next week, I might have another 5 gigs.
Right.
Right. You don't know. Right. You just don't know. All I can do is put myself out there and kind of just let things fall as they may. Because it's not. Again, as long as I don't stop, inevitably, I'm going to get more gigs.
Yeah.
It's when I do stop that people will say, well, that's it. It's over because I've stopped looking. And you don't
so
want to stop.
You're primarily a writer, correct?
Primarily a writer, yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I also just to give you stuff. I edit comics. I know how to edit comic books. I'm a podcaster. I do podcast production as well.
Right.
You know, I'm very good at this talking and making an ass of myself in public kind of thing. I'm good at that. They even gave me an award for that, which is hard to believe, but it's true. So
Nice.
and even my writing, one of my books this year is up for an award for poetry of all things. So I must be good. I don't know. I don't really feel like I'm like anything special.
So you can legitimately say you're an award-winning podcaster.
I'm an award-winning podcaster and an award-nominated poet. I can legit say that, yeah. So, yeah, and like I said, all I did is I put myself out there. There's no magic secret to it.
Right.
It's just like I have a big mouth. I have an idea how to actually put a show together, and I put a show together, and it's been kind of cool. Like it's evolved as time goes on. Like we're on Twitch right now. And a year ago, I am coming up on month 9 of being on. I took a few weeks off at Christmas time, so I've been on like the air 9 months. And in those 9 months, I've watched my followers grow slowly but surely. I've been watching people come in, and like some days it's quiet. Like today, one person's been here. Some days I've had shows where I've had 8 to 10 people on. And I'm still like, it's a growth process. But the thing is, I'm just sticking around, doing my thing.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do. We do a Thursday and Friday night. It's called Thursday Night Throwdown or Friday Night Draw. And we've been doing it for a little over a year. And sometimes we have 4 or 5 people in there. Sometimes we've got 12 or 13. So yeah, but it's just you keep doing it. You keep doing it. And we just went to Dayton, Ohio this week for a convention, and we had postcards advertising the podcast. And we had 15 new people join the group. So yeah. I'm really interested tomorrow night to get on there and do the podcast and see how many new people we have coming in and watching.
Tomorrow's Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh, you're right. See, yeah. I'm already.
Yeah.
It's already Tuesday.
But you're excited, right? And it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, doing this, like watching my show. So about June this year, I hit another level because now I'm looking at I used to be like, again, when you start doing a podcast, it's like 6 people are listening to it. You're like, yes, those 6 people, you rule.
Oh yeah.
Right. and then so in the last little bit, like when I listen to my show, and again, I talk about anything and everything, right? And whether you agree, disagree, hey, this is me. This is the way it is. And what I found was, like now, in the last 2 months, ever since I've been just scaling it, like doing it on Twitch, doing some stuff on YouTube. YouTube's been not my focus, but it's part of it anyway. And I've been doing stuff on my audio. My audio numbers have now, I do at least 1 triple-digit episode a week, right? And then on top of this, there are weeks now. I used to be 150 played download, 300 on a good week. Now I'm hitting 300 on a regular basis. And now it's like, I'm seeing sometimes 400, 500, 600, right?
That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can get sponsorships for that now. Because that is a big enough audience where I can actually legitimately go, hey, do you want to be sponsored on my podcast? Yeah. Right. Sweet. So, yeah, but that took a long time. That took a real long time. And again, as I keep doing it, I'll keep leveling up. Right, and vice versa with you. Like you keep putting yourself out there, you keep scaling, you keep advertising yourself. Right? Are both of you on the show? Like, or is it you primarily?
Tina is. She's not on camera. Occasionally she'll come on, but she's known as Producer B. I do it with my buddy Sean Forney, and his wife is Producer A, and she's in the back. They produce the show. They throw up graphics and stuff for us, or they'll answer questions. We'll throw out a question about a movie or something like that, and they'll look it up for us and pop up links and stuff like that. Because we're either drawing or just being goofy and silly, and because we do a 30-minute sketch off, and we pick a character, and we pick a character or a theme, and he'll do one and I'll do one, and we have 30 minutes to pencil it, and people can buy it on the stream, and if they want, they can upgrade it to inks, and then they can upgrade it to colors as well. So we do that, and that's a pretty good draw. And then after we're done drawing, we both work on commissions or whatever else we're working on, and we just talk nerdy stuff, movies and comics and stuff like that until about 9:30. We bounce out of there.
Yeah, no, those are great shows. They are great shows and you have someone to play off of. Like the problem with me is, yes, I have an incredibly big mouth, but the thing about it is I'm by myself. So the guest is quiet. I mean, I have a great voice, but I have to dance with you. You got someone you're automatically dancing with all the time, and it sounds like you two are good friends, which definitely adds to the authentic, organic part of your show.
Oh yeah. We goof on each other for certain things. I struggle with drawing women, so it's kind of a running joke. And he does a lot of cheesecake, so it's just an ongoing thing.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think the cool thing about comics is that there's something for everybody, especially like when we look at the Kickstarter. Like I call it the Kickstarter era because at this point, everybody's creating their audiences and their markets and stuff like that. There's some great cheesecake comics out there. There's some great horror comics out there. There are people like you, like, I'm going to do a bit of everything and whatever, and chances are whatever spaghetti sticks for you is going to be very close to the person doing it. That's just how I see it. I could be totally wrong on that, right? But I from what my assessment of most people's characters and success, usually there's something of themselves in the character,
right?
And usually the book and the person aren't that different, even if his voice is telling you what to do.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So that's what I've noticed. And I think what we're going to see now, because I think comic stores are going to get in on this. It's like we're seeing the death of Diamond being the sole distributor, which I think is overall a great thing. It's going to be painful, but I think it's overall a great thing.
Yeah.
Because now comic book stores are going to be looking at what you guys do. Right, and you'll have like these cool editions exclusive to comics. You guys can do your thing, and it won't be, unless barring something really, really weird and drastic happens, the days of like being a 2-company dominant system are probably over. It doesn't mean they won't still be around, but I think one of the cool things is there's an opportunity for you, right? Oh my God, the newest Rodney Fyke book is in. This is so sweet. Instead of struggling to break a named character or named property, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure, even though you don't necessarily like McDonald's food, you admire their McDonald's business structure. You wouldn't be against that in theory, right? But when comics get bigger or comics become more of a thing, it's when people can put faces to books. Not the character, but the creator. And I think the creator-owned book is going to become more and more a thing as it's been happening. It's been happening very gradually in the industry.
Yep.
But now I think more than ever, that's going to become more and more a thing.
I agree. We've been saying for the last few months that we feel that an indie renaissance is about to explode on the industry. A lot of people shut up in their houses for 18 months that have been working their asses off on new books, and they're hitting the convention trail this year and next year with a lot of new content, and it's a lot of new IPs for Hollywood to put their eyes on.
That's right. I'm going to be going back to the States next year myself because I look at it kind of like, no matter what happens I think going for it, I don't think you guys are shutting down again. I don't see it. You might go through your ups and downs, but I don't think you're shutting down again. I think there's going to be, you guys are going to move on to whatever the future looks like, and I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the United States next year, especially when you go to events and shows and indie events and stuff like that. It's going to be, I think there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of people. It's just about getting on those tracks now.
Oh yeah.
Because I think in 2022, 2023, I'm not sure how many more lockdowns are going to happen, but I do think they're more behind us than in front of us. And the thing about that is, the way I kind of see it is, you got 22. This is the time for a creator to kind of establish themselves. So you have that opportunity to do that, and that's not just comics. I think it's creativity.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
And if you can get your foot in the door now, with all the IPs and stuff you're making, come 2025, you might be in a really, really good place, and people come. And then that's when everybody else will catch up. They're like, oh gosh, this is the biggest thing, but you guys have already set yourselves up.
Right.
So even when this, because it will eventually go like this again too, because there's peaks and valleys to everything. There's a cyclical aspect to it, but it's about establishing yourself in the ground when things are good, making the hay while the sun shines. Because even when it doesn't shine, there's still gonna be people looking for your stuff.
That's right. That is true.
I almost know what I'm talking about. Almost. Don't tell anybody, okay? Yes.
It'll be our secret.
Yes, and anybody watching or listening to this.
What do they say? Fake it till you make it.
You know, I have thought about that statement. I think it's maybe the Latin, and we'll wrap up the year after this. I don't think that's actually fake it till you make it. I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. It's be the parts you know how to be until the rest of it fills in the spaces.
Yeah. Do the number one rule of writing is write what you know. So play to your strengths, and then, like you said, the gaps will fill in on their own.
Yeah. Well, but I also think like it's how you see yourself. You see yourself as a comic book creator, not a writer, not an illustrator, but a creator.
Yeah.
You write, you do draw, and you realize that not everything you write fits your style as an artist. That's cool, but you're still going to draw more books at some point. And that's who you are. And how do you want to be? And if you look at, say, someone like George Perez, well, how can I get to become George Perez in this era? Well, what did he do? You look at the things like, well, I can't do this, this, and this, but I can do this, and I can do this, and I can get to those other points eventually, right? I don't know if that's actually fake it till you make it. It's like being the pieces you know how to be,
right?
And honestly, just looking at what successful people and what they do. You can learn a lot from the people that really make it, and it's amazing that I think if you were to break it all down, how consistent they are.
Yeah, and the one consistent thing among all of them is they don't pay attention to all of this out here. They focused on this, and they're doers. The difference between this side of the table and that side of the table is I actually sat down and did it.
That's right.
Instead of talking about it.
That's right. And that's why you're a rock star. Is that you're going to kick that? That's right. Get like glasses. Going to get glasses, like dark shades.
And get my Andy Warhols.
Yeah, get Andy. Yeah, exactly. And then you're gonna come out like a metal version of your shirt.
I grow my hair long again.
Yeah, totally. Why not? Heck, why not? Get like the beard all the way down to here, like get like wild and unkempt and all that other wonderful fun stuff.
I just shaved it. I had it down to about here. I shaved it last week. I was tired of picking food out of it.
No, long hair's a pain in the butt, man. I've actually just grown the goatee again. I'm like, damn, this was a pain. This is why I shaved it initially. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass. Who knew? Who knew? Ladies, I feel sorry for you. I do, because you got your long hair. Damn, that's work. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. Looks good though.
Oh no, they make it look better than I do. That's the damn sure, right? Yeah, it sounds to me like you thought this through. Like you got a plan, and you're going to charge into battle.
Yeah. We've been on the battlefield, so we're just
that's right.
Forging ahead.
Yeah, and that's all you can do. Oh, I feel we have an interview here. What do you think?
I feel the same.
I don't feel it was as silly as I thought it was going to be, though. And I'm sorry for that. I feel like I let you down.
Well, it's okay. I mean, it's not like I can't come on again. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
We just met an hour ago, so.
I did make you laugh quite a bit, so I you do enjoy my self-deprecation, if nothing else. So
yeah.
So what is out right now? You're going to be back in September for the Kickstarter. So forgo that advertisement for now.
Well, we've got Pitter Patter Kickstarter right now.
Oh, so why don't you talk about that? Why don't you
it's live. It is Pitter Patter issues 1 and 2, and it is currently live. It's funded. It's live through April 6th, and
April 6th.
Or, I'm sorry, August 6th.
Okay.
That's a hell of a long time.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. So you're giving me a job, right?
Thanks for the save.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a story about Buddy and Dude, two cats from opposite sides of the track, and it's just the story of them in the house, in the big house, and how they deal with things in life. Issue 1, Dude brings a new addition to the house, Dizzy the Spinner Mouse, and he tries to convince Buddy that he's an up and up kind of guy, and Buddy doesn't have the heart to tell him it's just a plastic toy. So you get to see how they deal with that. And then in issue 2, we get to find out if the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, or in this case, the other side of the sliding glass door.
Well, yeah. I will do something really cool for you, because people can go and find this even long after this is done. Dun, 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 dun. See, look, there's the link to the Kickstarter. It's right there.
There we go. There we go.
People
go check it out. If it's not your cup of tea, we ask that you please share it out to people that you think it might be their cup of tea.
Or if you're like me, that you have denied yourself Kickstarter privileges because you're not mature enough to stop yourself, because I have an impulse control.
Indulge.
Yeah, that's right. Go indulge. Like, got my own creative stuff to do, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, take a bite. You'll like it.
Probably will. That's the problem.
And the cool thing about this is it's not one book. You're getting the first 2 issues.
Yeah.
And then the 50th backer, which will be the next backer, you'll get a PDF, a free PDF of Sean and Stephanie Forney's The Scarlet Huntress. And then you get a whole bag of goodies. You're going to get trading cards and stickers and an enamel pin, all kind of cool stuff. Those are all add-ons.
Add-ons, okay.
Yes.
They're all add-ons, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Boss Tina.
Yeah, thank you, Producer B. But yeah, you're going to, most Kickstarters are 1 book. This is 2. You get issue 1 and you get issue 2.
All right. So for everybody else watching, listening, because this will air probably, unfortunately, as an audio when the Kickstarter is long come to the conclusion. But as it's available now for people who want to watch it, and people will watch it, I promise you that. That all said, how can people find you? How can people talk to you, say hi? And you might as well talk about your show.
Okay. Well, they can find me on Thursday and Friday night. On Thursday night, we're on all of my social platforms, which I'll run down in a second. We do Thursday night draw, and we do Thursday night throwdown and Friday night draw, 8 o'clock Eastern. Thursday night, we're on all of my platforms, which are The Art of Rodney Fyke on Facebook, Rodney_Fyke on Instagram, Rodney Fyke on Twitch.
Hey, Producer B is going to come in.
And Producer B is going to come in and correct me.
Thursday Night Throwdown is on Hasm on Facebook.
Okay.
And it is also on The Art of Rodney Fyke on Facebook. And it is on Rodney Fyke Art on Twitch. It's also on Hasm on YouTube. And then on Friday Night Draw, which are on Sean's channels, you can watch it on Sean Forney Art on Facebook, Sean Forney Art on YouTube, and on Twitch. He's all Sean Forney Art is where you can find it.
So Rodney Fyke Art on Twitch?
Rodney Fyke Art on Twitch, yes.
Okay, so.
And Sean Forney Art on Twitch as well.
Look at that. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. And Sean Fournier is in like
Forney.
No. It's which Sean? Is it Sean S-E-A-N?
S-E-A-N. S-E-A-N.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm just doing all this because that way people can contact you if they want to contact you, and also so I can probably follow you guys on Twitch because the armies need to grow. That's how I look at it. We all need it. Right. And for everybody watching and listening, this is Rodney and this is Tina. Hey, Tina, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. Anything you heard about me is probably true. That's okay. But that all said, everybody, this was this episode of Just Joshing. So I'm actually taking a couple days off of streaming because I go at this all the time. But I'm doing a very special drink and draw this Friday. Joe Compton is my guest. He's coming back. Now I'm doing a drawing lesson with him because I get to show what I've learned to someone that doesn't draw at all. It's gonna be a fun little episode. Hit the follow button on my Twitch if you want to follow me on Twitch. I'm on YouTube as well as Joshua Pantelresco. Hit the like and subscribe and follow me there. But Alice Zero, my current book, is nominated for the Elgin Award. Alice 1, the sequel, will be out November 1st. Until then, guys, until Friday, stay inspired, keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you guys Friday.